it brings up the question, do free agents want to sign in Detroit to play for Dwane Casey? And let's say it's not a free agent's approach, but it's, hey, we are in rebuild mode, and they decide to go out and blow it up and rebuild. Is Dwane Casey the right coach for a rebuild? Is he the right coach for the Pistons?
Yeah, that's a loaded question. And those Fred VanVleet comments certainly make it a little bit tougher to analyze. I've always been in favor of Dwane Casey. And I know even in his first year last year, he got a lot of criticism from certain sects and was critiqued pretty hard. But I was steadfast in every coach does something that you're not going to like. It happens everywhere with even the best coaches. Greg Popovich, Nick Nurse, Steve Kerr, all of them. But this year has been an utter train wreck. Whether it was starting the season with Luke Kennard coming off the bench, the way he's handled Derrick Rose, the way he's handled Christian Wood, the way that he handled Sekou Doumbouya, everywhere Dwane Casey has made mistakes. And that's just looking at playing time. Let's also talk about the fact that this team, throughout this entire season, has been unable to look coherent offensively, has been downright dreadful at times on the defensive end. And Dwane Casey was supposed to at least make sure this team was good defensively. And they just look like they don't run an offense at times. Like they just genuinely at times look like they are not running an NBA level offense. Mm-hmm. And then you hear these comments from a guy that began to break out under Dwane Casey, but once he left, fully broke out in Fred VanVleet. And you hear how when Dwane Casey was here, there was a lot more arguing. There wasn't a lot of players being allowed to, speak their mind and give their thoughts. It was a lot of arguing. There wasn't harmony. Like, you hear that, and then you connect it with, well, look at these comments he's made about Christian Wood and Sekou Doumbouya, two of the young cornerstone pieces for the Pistons. Look at how he's run Derrick Rose into the ground trying to win ball games. Look at how he used Blake Griffin as soon as he came back from injury to start the year, immediately giving him the ball and ISOing him and going back to last year's offense. You just have to look at those things, and when you add them all together, doesn't that concern you?
Big time.
Because it concerns me a lot.
Big time.
But then on the flip side, you have to go out there and you have to say, if Dwane Casey's a problem, we got to move on from Dwane Casey. Fine. Who are we going to get? Because there's not going to be a John Beilein. He's not getting back into NBA coaching. He's in that advisory role with the Cavs.
I want to add, I feel really bad for John Beilein. And as a Michigan State basketball fan, I think you guys know that I always gave Beilein a lot of praise and credit. And I always really respected him while he was coaching in Michigan. And I was really happy for him to get a chance to go to the NBA and do it. And I feel really bad for the way that he was just kind of forced out. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. But just to know how poorly that went, and to be bad enough that he had to resign from his coaching position middle of the season and couldn't even just finish out 1 year and decide to step away. I feel bad for him. I just got to put that out there again. I might have even said that last week, but I do. I feel bad for him.
So you don't get, there's no college coach coming to the NBA, and you've missed out on, any of these other coaches that have come into the league as of late. Your best option is probably, that I can think of right now, a guy that you talked to back when you were interviewing Dwane Casey, is Ime Udoka from the San Antonio Spurs. Or did he leave? Did he leave the Spurs?
Honestly, I don't even know where he's at right now.
I think maybe, did he join the Sixers? Yeah, he did join the Sixers. So
fair enough. I didn't even know.
But that's maybe your best bet is getting Ime Udoka in your head coaching position. I mean, maybe there's some other names that become available, or say they want to get into the NBA, or there's a former coach that wants to come back. But you have to figure that out too. You have to say, yes, Dwane Casey has his faults, but we also have to have an option to replace him. And that's where I'm kind of curious where this goes. I don't think the Pistons will move on from Dwane Casey. I really don't. I think he's here, and he's here throughout his contract, win or lose. But in the scenario that they did move on, you have to remember that you also have to find a replacement. You also have to find a guy that you think can come in with a team that will have lost their head coach and be able to galvanize that locker room and be the leader of that locker room.
Right.
So that's kind of where my head is at on that situation.
I don't think Dwane Casey's going anywhere. Honestly, I don't think there's a chance he's going anywhere. It's a win-win for him. He can't lose. Maybe Goris does want to win, but he put those public comments out there publicly that, hey, maybe it's time for a different direction. So either way, they win, great. They lose, great. Dwane Casey is here throughout his contract, unless he decides he wants to step away. I don't see Goris and Stefanski letting him go. And you're right, Aaron. What if they do let him go? Well, you have to have a plan in place. And I don't know what that plan is or who that plan would be. I don't at this point. There just doesn't seem to be those names like there were a few years ago when Dwane Casey came here. There were those names out there. There really doesn't appear that way this year. Hey, it could change. The year's not over, obviously. But if you ask me, he's not going anywhere. Is he the right guy to lead this rebuild? It doesn't feel like it. Let me tell you. It really doesn't. But
it's not what he signed up for.
That is not what he signed up for.
And that has to be considered.
And I'm sure that's weighing on his mind too.
Yeah.
He came here to try to win again.
So I get that. But at the same time, you've gone out and you've made some very questionable decisions.
Yes.
With guys that...
Can I cut you off real quick?
Yeah.
Here's the thing that's really bothering me. More than the Christian Wood stuff, more than the Luke Kennard stuff, is... This whole time Sekou's been struggling, I've really been like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it. I don't know what happened because nothing really changed, but the flip has switched on me. I am worried about it now. Like, people were all worried and confused and freaking out about it all over Twitter. I'm just sitting there like, don't worry, guys. It'll be okay. He's young. But I don't know. Now I'm kind of freaking out too.
Right.
Because Sekou's an absolute ghost out there right now. They are doing nothing to help him. In the offense, he goes and stands in the corner. And that's it. That's all he does. It doesn't look like he's getting... All this experience and playing time means nothing if you're just going to stand in the corner. That's his role in the offense. Maybe come set a pick up top, run back to your corner. They don't even look at him. It's 5-on-4 when they're playing offense.
Which is just ridiculous because I'd love to see him be just a focal point. Let's see what he can do. And I mean, he's shown he can do it.
You see when there are times when he does start doing his own thing a little bit and freestyling and playing free-flowing, and he'll turn the ball over once or twice. He's young. It's going to happen. Or maybe he takes a bad shot. He's young. It's going to happen. He comes out of the game.
That's like such a high school thing. It's almost like it's literally like kind of like a high school.
It's not like this is a 45-win team right now.
No.
That's like battling for playoff position. It's like, what the hell are you doing, kid? You're costing us. This is a team that's playing for nothing. He's got to make those mistakes.
Right.
And I feel like when he makes a mistake or two, after like he gets one freebie if the game's early on, a second one, and Dwane Casey's on him, and then he just runs to his corner, and that's it. He's a ghost out there. A ghost. And he's a solid rebounder, but he's not even. He looks terrible right now rebounding.
To me, seeing the Sekou and the lack of Sekou on the offensive end is enough to tell me that Dwane Casey is no longer the guy that should be in Detroit. Maybe he was the right fit for a team that was trying to win, and you know what? They needed some coaching with a mix of young guys and veterans that between strategy and a focus on foundational system. That, hey, maybe Dwane Casey's the guy that will be able to put them in a position to win. He's a good coach. He's a proven playoff coach. This is not a knock that Dwane Casey is a bad basketball coach. And I don't want it to sound like that. But you're at a point right now where you need a guy that's going to come in and he's going to nurture some young kids. You need a guy that's going to nurture the young guys because that's where your team is. You are rebuilding with a young nucleus. Let's say you re-sign Christian Wood, you extend Luke Kennard, Sekou, Bruce Brown, Svi Mykhailiuk, even if that's the only 5, and that doesn't even mention guys like Jordan Bone, whoever else. You need a coach that's going to develop them and allow them to make mistakes and really grow. And Dwane Casey's probably a very good, showing you the strict foundation and trying to break bad habits. But in the style of play that we're at today, you've got to just let them run. This is not a crawl, walk, jog, run process anymore. This is you get to the league. If you're drafted like a guy like Sekou or Luke, you're expected to already be walking, and you just tell them start running. And they learn. And they figure it out.